AskReddit, what common myth can be disproved in seconds? Pulling a fire alarm does not, in fact, activate the sprinkler system in most scenarios. Certainly not indoors, at your school, your home, or any indoor commercial establishment. And you can prove it by pulling the fire alarm. We can only taste certain tastes on specific parts of our tongue. Just put something sour on different parts of your tongue, you will always be able to taste it. I always took it as some parts of your tongue are more sensitive to different flavors. If you enter a pin backwards at an ATM, it summons the police. My pin is a palindrome. Edit. Everybody in this thread is assuming that my pin is only 4 digits long. My pin is much longer than that. I love my credit union. They let me choose the length of my pin. There are only 99 possible palindrome 4-digit pin numbers, right? I'll crack the code. Edit. 100. If your pin's a 4-digit number, I now know your pin is one of only 100 combinations, eliminating literally 99% of all possible combinations. Wait, I've never heard of this one. Who actually thinks that would happen? Why would a backwards pin call the police, but not just any wrong pin? What's so bad about it specifically being backwards? If you write your pin here, it will show in an encrypted format, so everyone else will only be able to see a set of asterisks. This is mine, for example. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Anything by 5-Minute Crafts. Check out how to cook that on YouTube. Okay, hadn't heard of 5-Minute Crafts, but seriously, a Red Life vest made from Gatorade bottles, a t-shirt, and some string. That video when she makes a spoon out of a spoon. They used to be a good channel, now it's just clickbaity BS. But hey, at least they aren't as bad as the life hack channels on Instagram. Now YouTube is flooded with 5-minute no-so coronavirus masks that also are impossible to construct. I still don't get how they have over 50 million subscribers. Like they have to have a sub bot. That account is so stupid. Put toothpaste in a balloon when you travel, or just get a travel size toothpaste. That Redditors understand what disproved and in seconds mean. Or myth. That you can die by holding your breath. You're only gonna pass out and begin breathing again. Edit. For everyone trying to get technical, you really don't think you can pass out in seconds from holding your breath. If you hold your breath hard enough with enough pressure, you definitely can. When I was a kid, my mom would tell me that my dad died because he forgot to breathe, like literally just casually forgot to inhale. He apparently died from a car accident and my mom was just messing with me, or didn't want to go into details. She was kinda traumatized, I think. I believed it for a pretty long time, and even told a lot of other kids about it. Too late to clarify it to them now though. Lol. Edit. Guys, don't be mad at my mom, haha. The most damage this has done is that I felt silly after I realized dying by forgetting to breathe was not a thing. In fact, I kinda laughed when I realized, cause it was such a silly thing to believe. I actually evaded the questions a couple of times at first, like she didn't want to talk about it, but I was too persistent, cause kids are tactless, so she probably just said the first thing that came to mind. Personally, I feel like she didn't want to get too emotional in front of her kids, so she answered with something silly. I remember just being glad I could have something to tell people who asked me about my dad. Also, after I grew up, my mom's been pretty open with the important things, including how my dad really died, so all's fine. Mom does not have eyes on the back of her head. You can tell by jumping on her back and pushing up her hair, or just swing a bat at the back of her head. If she ducks, maybe she has eyes. If she doesn't, well, there's your answer. What about stepmoms? I'm a mum. I do not have actual eyes in the back of my head, no. But there are a lot more reflective surfaces in my house than my children seem to be aware of. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. I hadn't thought about it all morning until just now. Edit. Man, you guys jerk off a lot, and I thought I was bad. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. Fact, actually just statistical error. Men think about sex twice a day on average. Sigmund Freud, who lives in Vienna and thinks about sex 487,500,000 times per second, is an outlier and should not have been counted. I feel like this statistic was gathered by asking men every 8 seconds if they are thinking about sex. If they weren't, they are now, because mentioning a thing makes you think of it. Right? More like every hour, if you ask me. Well, horny 15-year-old me thought about it like every 10 minutes. I made it 10 seconds today. I use Bruce Banner's method. He's always angry, and I'm always thinking about sex. I've heard back quote 11 times a day. https://xkcd.com/1564/. Microwaves eat from the inside out. Get anything microwavable. Put it in for 30 seconds. Note the scalding hot outer layer and still frozen center. False. Microwaves are actually sentient beings and do this to assert their dominance. I agree with you. The radiation is tuned to excite the water molecules. Try microwaving something without water. Maybe fat too. Anyway, I was fascinated on Sunday when I went to melt butter. It melted a hole in the center and expanded from there. Is that a myth anyone believes? I've never heard anyone say that. A myth is a female moth. Funny man here. Sensible chuckle. It took me a few seconds to disprove this. It's actually a female mythter. That blood is blue before it hits oxygen. This is my most hated myth. There are so many obvious ways to disprove it, most prominently being the fact that one of the purposes of blood is to carry oxygen around the body. This was straight up taught to me when I was in grade school. How would you disprove this in seconds? Unless your blood enzymes use copper to bind oxygen instead of iron. Then you might be a horseshoe crab or another marine fish. People of Reddit, please infer the intent of the question. It was not what can you Google in seconds, because that is literally everything. What can you standing face to face with someone prove wrong in seconds without the use of Google Edit or Bing. Judging by how many answers to questions like doctors of Reddit and cardboard box factory workers of Reddit start with not a doctor/cardboard box factory worker, but I'd say that complaining that people aren't doing it right is almost as useless as me writing this rebuttal. That if you get jizz in your eye you go blind. Can confirm, this is a myth. It just feels like you're gonna go blind, haha. If you can prove that in seconds, I feel bad for your sexual partners. That stupid thing about different regions of your tongue tasting different things. I remember when I was first taught this at school, so I immediately got something salty. It was salt, if memory serves, and put it on the back of my tongue, far away from the salt zone. I could still taste it. The persistence of this myth is baffling to me. It's so easy to disprove. And surely most kids, upon learning this little fact, would immediately grab something salty or sweet in order to try it out. Edit. This article contains an example of the kind of map I'm talking about, for those that aren't familiar. As per the article, this was disproved in the early 21st century. They taught that in school? I just assumed that the tastes were stronger in, not exclusive to, those areas. I tried it with something sweet and managed to convince myself it worked, even though it didn't really. I just didn't want to think I was wrong. People naming conspiracies and not disproving them. Not only are they not disproving them, but most of them aren't myths, and they can't be disproved in seconds. The disproof is left as an exercise to the reader. Disprovable myths but not in seconds. Googling and using your brain is suddenly the equivalent to scientific proofs now. Einstein apparently wasted a lot of his time considering he only needed to write "it's obvious" on his thesis. Masturbating makes you blind. Can be disproved in seconds. That back quote is pretty hard to read. That's ridiculous. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go shave my palms. What a stupid myth. Adjusts prescription glasses. It took me 14 seconds to disprove this one. There's been a list of coronavirus tips going around Facebook that says, among other things, that the virus dies at a temperature of about 26°C/ATF and you can kill it in your throat simply by drinking hot drinks. If that were the case, it wouldn't be spreading inside of 37°C/98.6 human bodies. There is validity to it, but the FB post seems to dumb it down to obsolescence. 25°C/ATF is absolutely preposterous. Although at that temp, the air would need to be warmed less than environment, depending on environment, meaning you retain more heat. Mild benefit may be possible. Heat is good against viruses. It's why we get a fever. It's why respiratory viruses are less common in warmer seasons. Viruses respond less well to heat than cold. It messes with the folding of virus proteins, more than our own. Respiratory viruses target respiratory cells, because they have a lower temp than due to contact with ambient air. Since viruses reproduce by utilizing our cells to create virus-making proteins, increasing the temperature of respiratory cells inhibits the viral protein's function. Also, nasal cells release more interferon at higher temperatures, which is a key component to our immune response. Higher temps do decrease respiratory virus generation and improve our immune system. But some hair dryers don't even exceed ATF. A more practical approach might be turning your bathroom into a steam room. That the human jaw is capable of biting through your finger as easily as a carrot, but your brain won't let it. Alright, who's gonna try this one? This one always got me. Like a raw carrot, a 5-year-old can bend and snap, has the same strength as my bone, ligaments, muscles, and skin. Have you ever felt your own fingers, people? That water only goes down a plug hole a certain way in your hemisphere, unlike others in this thread. Like the world is flat and the hair growing comment, it can actually be disproved in seconds. Just go to a sink near you and try it. Chances are it will go down the same direction every time, but that's because of the shape of your basin, not the present but infinitesimally minute force of the Earth's spin. If you're not convinced, try on a range of different sinks, or try gently pushing it the other way at the start point. The Simpsons episode where Bart does this, and the myth works, always irked me. I'm glad you mentioned that, Simpsons, cause my first thought was they didn't normally get stuff wrong like that. Flat Earth. Lie down on a beach and watch the sunset. Then stand up and watch it again. The only way that's possible is if the horizon changes based on the angle of your sight, which is only possible if the Earth is round. This is a great tip for getting your money's worth on sunsets. That Mike Tyson can't punch you in the face. Just ask him to, and he won't. Myth. Almost none of you can disprove your posts in seconds. You all stopped reading at common myth and some have skipped common. That Redditors aren't idiots. Proof: read the answers to this post. I crap where I sleep. The moon landings pictures show all shadows in said pictures, produced by the sun's light, as parallel. That is, all shadows have the same exact angle and intensity. Only the sun can make parallel shadows from that distance and radiance for way back in 1969. Edit. Point is, moon pictures cannot be accurately replicated without shadows looking off, back in 1969. We can still carbon date those pictures, probably sitting somewhere in a museum, to prove the photos are aged 51 years and therefore authentic. Nowadays, way easier to falsify using photo editing software, but they'd still be new pictures. Not all shadows, at least not visually. Mythbusters did a great episode on it though, and demonstrated that the shadows that appear to not be parallel are actually caused by bumps and dips in the ground, creating optical illusions. Very nitpicky, I know, but it's technically not accurate to say that the pictures show all the shadows as parallel. The Earth is flat. But, they say that the footage is from satellites orbiting the Earth. The state that also says we went to the moon. Why do you believe in footage put out by NASA government scientists? Did you know that if you translate NASA into Hebrew you get insert meaningless word? How can water curve? Lol. Have you ever seen a river that curves? Lol. Water is flat, that's common sense. Dr. Buttfuck, who is a former oncology doctor, don't ask me why it's former lol, says that it's flat. But you only believe in mainstream government scientists because they have a degree from the state. Can someone please shoot me? I've heard too much. Prove it to me in seconds. Oh, I thought so, but you've obviously never argued with a flat earther. No matter how much sense you make they won't accept it. Look at this glass of water. Water doesn't curve. Me, sticks finger in glass and puts a drop on the table. Yes, it does. Blinks, starts arguing that NASA is a conspiracy and fraud. I'm sure they exist somewhere, but for all the talk on Reddit I've heard of flat earthers, I have never met one or seen one on Reddit. That girls don't fart? I once thought, why didn't I hear a single girl fart? Guessed they do it secretly. Point myth can be disproved within seconds if you hang out with my sister. You can see the Great Wall of China from space. Point, just go to Google Maps and choose a satellite view. You can't. That carrots are good for your eyes. Gotta say, took my glasses off to wear carrots and it definitely didn't work. You're doing it wrong. You need to stab the carrots into your eyes. Just ask the question, does it affect very rich people? Works 90% of the time. For instance, there is a cure for cancer, but big pharma companies don't want to give it to us. Are there very rich people that died of cancer? Yes, there are, so there probably isn't a cure. Point, for more info go to this video from Kyrgyzstan, https://yauta.b/fug0rffc_l8. That a duck's quack doesn't echo. Point, if you have a duck and are somewhere with an echo. Mythbusters tried this, but the duck didn't like quacking in the no echo booth. It did quack, but not when they had their sensitive machines listening. Point, but when they took it out of the booth, it started quaking and it definitely sounded different to the ear from the small amount of quacking it did in the echo-proof booth. To be hit in the groin doesn't only hurt men, but also women. Point, edit, did seemingly do it wrong. What I meant was that it does hurt women when they get hit in the groin as well. Sorry for the bad wording. Either you worded this wrong, or you're completely incorrect. Some sick people put drugs in children's bag every Halloween. Point, literally no. Even if they are, it's for them. No one would give away hundreds of dollars worth drugs for free. How can you disprove this in seconds? Punch a shark in the nose, it'll leave you alone. As you slowly move you'll just tap its nose. Then you lose yours. It won't always stop it, but gouging its eyes out and hurting its Jacob sensors, or whatever they're called, is about the best thing you can do other than pray for survival. Hold on, let me just find my shark that I have sitting around so I can disprove this in seconds. I always like the hit it in the nose with your fist, and if that doesn't work punch the gills with your stump. That camels have water in their humps. It would be a very messy 5 seconds to prove this one. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe for more. See you next time.